Okay, it's Mike, Soul Religion Dystopia, Known versus Belief, and this is I'm going to do a live recording reading of the Jesuit Oath, the Jesuit Extreme Oath. He's for those who are interested in who may hear this, who might join me. I don't know. I know I say a lot of things that upset people. I don't mean to be, but I am who I am. Uh, yeah. Where were I going to go with this? So, actually, the Vault for Nightmares, they asked me to join them tonight on their show. Well, they were supposed to start at 9, at least that's what he told me. And he ended up starting his show at the tail end of let's see. Anyways, say thank you to Chasing the Truth, Sean G, for putting up with me. I'm sure he's going to not appreciate some of the things I have to say as others will, but there, so be it. But it was interesting. He did a show on the Georgia Guidestones, and I called in and talked a little bit about that. And I could go into more detail about stuff about the connection of the Jesuits and its connection with this time of the year. But let's go in and just read this Jesuit Oath. And I know many a person says they've read it, and maybe it's a good idea to read it again. And to remind ourselves of what we're dealing with worldwide. There is a worldwide eugenics program. I do believe that the reason why they took down their stone edifice there that it looks just like a altar in which you would sacrifice people in the 6th of July. It was no coincidence. I don't believe it was anybody outside of those who actually put it up. And then a new 10 commandments. The first commandment is to reduce the world's population below 500 million in perfect balance with nature. That means that 14 out of 15 of us needs to go in their book. And this does go in line with the Jesuit Extreme Oath. So hopefully, I don't know. I'm not used to looking at my face. I'm used to just reading stuff, but don't really like looking at my face that much. Not that big of an egotist, but I guess I have a bit of an ego, but not that much. Anyways, this is from Alamo Ministries, and the following is a text, the Jesuit Extreme Oath of Induction, as recorded in the journals of the 62nd Congress. 66, it could also be third session. And of course, there's number 3 of the United States Congressional Record, House Calendar 397, report number 1523, 15 February 1913. 1913 was a very fateful year for a lot of reasons. In particular, the Federal Reserve was created, right? Page 3215 through 3216. That's 3215 through 3216, from which it was subsequently torn out, as usual. The oath is also quoted by Charles Didier and his book Subterranean Rome and New York of 1843. Hi, folks. Hello, hi, Holly. Hello, Donnie. Hey, Donnie Joe. I think you guys, I know, Donnie, you were on with over there. And well, my brain's going. Chasing the Truth with Sean G. So, hey, Donnie, how you doing? So I think this might be very, hi, Holly. What's good? And so you guys know each other. So Holly, I think, there's some people that actually subbed, and actually quite a few actually all of a sudden subbed through that. So thank you. Like I said, I was supposed to be, well, Vault of the Nightmares invited me on his show tonight, but it was supposed to start at 9, and it didn't. He didn't start it until after 11. And so then I was talking to Sean. I decided to call Sean, and then I got to meet you guys. So cool. And so there's like some new subs. Sean, let's see who, Lisa Ray, Arlene, Brian Parker, and that's a few so far that at least public. Anyways, let's get back into this. Thank you for joining me. This is a Jesuit Extreme Oath. If you just missed this, this was published in the February the 13th. The same year that the Federal Reserve Act was also passed. That turned us all into wage slaves. Okay, and as we go through this, and from which it was subsequently torn out. The oath is also quoted by Charles Didier in his book Subterranean Rome in New York, 1843. Translated from the French original, Dr. Alberto Rivera, who escaped from the Jesuit order in 1967 and confirms that the induction ceremony and the text of the oath, which he took, were identical to what we have cited below. When a Jesuit of the minor rank is to be elevated to command, he is conducted into the chapel of the Covenant of the Order, where there are only 3 others present: the principal, the superior standing in front of the altar, or the superior standing in front of the altar. On either side stands a monk, one of whom holds a banner of yellow and white, which are the papal colors. The other are a black banner with a dagger and a red cross above a skull and crossbones. You'll be amazed to find the connections between the Skull and Bones, 322, and the Jesuits. With the word INRI below them, the words Iustum Necar Regis Impius, the meaning of which is, it is just to exterminate and annihilate impious and heretical kings, governments, or rulers. Upon the floor is a red cross at which the postulate or candidate kneels. The superior hands him a small black crucifix, which he takes in his left hand and presses to his heart. The superior at the same time presents to him a dagger, which he grasps by the blade and holds the point against his heart, the superior still holding it by the hilt, and thus addresses the postulate. The superior speaks, "My son, hereto you have been taught to act the dissimulator among Roman Catholics, to be a Roman Catholic, to be a spy even among your own brethren." This is very important. Jesuits don't consider themselves Roman Catholics. They are a military order of the papacy. And therefore, they don't have to be actually Roman Catholics to be a Jesuit. And I bet most people don't even realize that. Anyways, so it says here, to be a spy even among your own brethren, to believe no man, to trust no man. Among the reformers, to be a reformer. Among the Huguenots, to be a Huguenot. To be a Calvinist, among a Calvinist, to be a Calvinist. Among other Protestants, generally be a Protestants, obtaining their confidence, to seek even to preach from their pulpits, and to denounce with all the vehemence in your nature your holy religion and the Pope, and even to descend so low as to become a Jew among Jews, that you might be enabled to gather together all information for the benefit of your order as a faithful soldier of the Pope. This is extremely important to understand this. The Jesuits are a military order of the papacy. And if you understand that the Roman Empire never really did go away, and that the head of the Roman Empire, even to this day, is located in the largest, most powerful monarchy in the world, the Vatican. More powerful than the Queen of England. More powerful than any queen or any king in any other of the realms of this world. It's not an exaggeration when they say the papacy is the largest, most powerful monarchy in the world. Most people believe the monarchies have disappeared. Oh, well, that's up to you, man. Yeah, I don't think it's that. Okay. So let's get back to what's going on here. Okay. We can have that discussion if you want, Don, but there's no reason to reject anything that the Paul said at all. None at all. You have been taught to plant insidiously the seed of jealousy and hatred between communities, provinces, states that were at peace, and to incite them to deeds of blood, involving them in war with each other. Now let's think about what this is. You're taught to plant insidiously the seeds of jealousy and hatred between communities, provinces, and states that were at peace, and to incite them to deeds of blood. In our day, right now, if we look what's going on over in Ukraine, what do you think's happened? You know, 2 decades ago, Ukrainians and Russians had no problem with each other at all. But since that time, since the U.S. government started meddling in Ukraine in 2014, nothing but chaos has happened there. To the point that Ukrainians, whether of Russian descent or other descent, are fighting each other, killing each other for no real good reason at all. None at all. But I ask you to think about that carefully, what I just said. Involving them in war with each other to create revolution and civil wars in the countries that were independent and prosperous. Abraham Lincoln even said that he himself put all the fault and blame on the Jesuits for the American Civil War. In fact, there's overwhelming evidence that the Jesuits were responsible for his assassination. Actually, even a Jesuit priest confessed to that. Something to think about. Anyways, back to this whole thing. Independent and prosperous, cultivating the arts and sciences and enjoy the blessings of peace. To be sides with the combatants and to act secretly with your brother Jesuit, who might be engaged on their other side, but openly opposed to that with which you might be connected, only that the church might be the gainer in the end, in the conditions fixed in the treaties for peace, and at the end justifies the means. If you look at the machinations and the meddlings of the Jesuits involved in what we have and what we're under today called scientism, the religion of science, and which endless, if you did, it could be evolution. Who introduced that to us? A Jesuit. The heliocentric model. Who introduced that to us? The Jesuits. And on it goes. Why even NASA and their giant telescope they have here in the United States, it is an acronym that spells out Lucifer. Now, I guess that's just a mistake. Yeah. And peace. How many treaties has this country and all other countries coming out of Western Europe have they created with people? And how none of them have ever lasted. In fact, the longest treaty they have right now from Europe, Western Europe, turns out to be the Antarctic Treaty, in which you and I and nobody else is allowed to go to the Antarctic just for your own. No, you will not. You'll be stopped at the 60th parallel and sent back. There's only certain parts of all of the Antarctic that people are allowed to go. The vast majority of it is off limits. It's something to think about. What might they be hiding over there? Let's go back to the oath. You have been taught your duty as a spy to gather all statistics. Isn't it interesting that Bill Gates, a Roman Catholic, who married a Jesuitess named Melinda, and they had an arranged marriage, and where she is from New Orleans, Louisiana, he is from the other side of the country, and nuns arranged their marriage. That is in Melinda's own book, her own diary, her biography. I didn't make that up. By the way, they two have spent a lot of time in the Vatican, and both of them are really into this thing called eugenics, population control, reducing the world's population. Very similar to the very first commandment of the Georgia Guidestones. And very similar to the Jesuit Oath. Shall we continue? Is your duty as a spy to gather all statistics, facts, and information in your power from every source to ingratiate yourself into the confidence of family circles of Protestants and heretics of every class and character. Now, who do you imagine might be heretics? There's a good chance, Donnie, you're one, and Holly, you're one, and I'm one, and anybody else is not following in their order, that are one, a heretic. I think I should do something here. I just realized something. I think have I been recording on the other thing for all this time? Yes, turn that off. 3 hours. That was not supposed to happen. Okay, let me get that out of the way. That might help with the buffering the thing. Okay, where was that? So, okay, and Protestants and heretics. So, to ingratiate yourself into the confidence of family circles of Protestants and heretics of every class and character, as well as that of the merchant, the banker, the lawyer, among the schools and universities. If you see what's going on today with wokeism, you'll see the handprints of the Jesuits all over it, of parliaments and legislators. If you look who actually even helps open up, um, you name it, there's always going to be a Jesuit priest involved in any political setting in the West, always a Jesuit priest. And and the judiciary and the councils of state. And it goes on. If everything that you're seeing going on, and to be all things to all men, to be all things to all men. Think about what they're saying there. Whatever it takes for the Pope's sake. So to be all things to all men, not for the Roman Catholic Church, not for Jesus' sake, but for the Pope's sake, whose servants we are unto death. We have received all your you have received all your instructions heretofore as a novice, a neophyte, and have served as coadjutor, confessor, and priest. Coadjutor, what's another way of saying that? My mind's going blank right now. I need to stay focused on reading, or else I'll go all over the place. Coadjutor, all that is necessary to command in the army of Loyola and the service of the Pope. Agent provocateur is another way of saying a coadjutor. So far, it doesn't sound too Christ-like, does it? Too religious or too in service of Jesus. So far, you must serve the proper time as the instrument and executioner as directed by your superiors. For none can command here who has not consecrated his labors with the blood of the heretic. For without the shedding of blood, no man can be saved. A total twisting of what Jesus did for us. A total twisting. Therefore, to fit yourself for your work and make your own salvation sure, you will, in addition to your former oath of obedience to your order and allegiance to, not Jesus, to the Pope, repeat after me. And this is what they repeat. I, candidate, novice, soon to be Jesuit priest or Jesuit, I, blank, blank, now in the presence of the Almighty God, the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Blessed Saint John the Baptist, the holy apostles of Peter and Paul and all saints, sacred hosts of heaven, and to you, my ghostly father, the superior general the Society of Jesus, founded by Ignatius Loyola, and the pontification of Paul III, and continued to the present, due by the womb of the Virgin, the matrix of God, the rod of Jesus. If you knew what the rod of Jesus was, and uh, uh, the book of Revelation, the rod is actually the Roman Empire. That's what they used. That's what Jesus used to destroy the temple in Jerusalem. And he circled and camped around Jerusalem and declared and swear that his holiness, when Jesus says Holy Father, who is holy? It is not a pope, it's God. The Pope is Christ's vice regent and is the true and only head of the Catholic and Universal Church throughout the world, the Universal Church. And that by the virtue of the keys of binding and loosening given to his holiness by my Savior, Jesus Christ, which he did not give to his holiness, because the holiness is not him. He's not holy, and he didn't give it to them. He gave it to Peter. He didn't give it to them. And he hath the power to dispose of heretical kings and princes, states and commonwealths and governments, and they may be safely destroyed. Therefore, to the utmost of my power, I will defend this doctrine and his holiness right and custom against all usurpers of the heretical or Protestant authorities whatsoever, especially the Lutheran Church of Germany, Holland and Denmark, Sweden and Norway, and now pretended authority, and the Church of England and Scotland, and the branches of the same, notwithstanding, in Ireland and on the other continent of America and elsewhere, and all the adherents in regard that they may be usurped and heretical, opposed as the Sacred Mother Church of Rome. I do now denounce and disown all allegiance as due to any heretical king, prince, or state, nay, Protestant, liberal, obedience to any of their laws, magistrates, and officers. There's a lot to unpack there. But one thing did not be dissuade or just to be focused on is the Protestant thing, because it doesn't really matter. If we look at what's going on in Germany today, what's actually going on in Germany today, it's imploding, literally. They're stopping the faucet, the tap of energy and food production throughout all of Western Europe. Why? Why did they start World War I and World War II? And why are they doing it again? It's not just because of the Lutheran Church of Germany. It's because anybody who doesn't accept the papacy, the Vatican, and the Jesuits is a heretic. It doesn't matter if you believe in Jesus, if you don't believe in Jesus, if you're a Christian, or if you're a Jew, or if you're a Muslim. In fact, if you really read Albert Pike's letter, which maybe next time that's what I'll do, you'll find out clearly it doesn't matter who you are. And it also explains why so many cultures, by the tens of thousands, or the past 500 years, have literally been exterminated under the guise of Christianity. Literally. In North America, and in Asia, how many cultures have been just obliterated by supposedly the American army or the Western European armies? Why? Have you ever thought that how many wars that the America's ever been in have never benefited us at all, we the people? In fact, all wars, except for World War II, and even that, It took them years to convince people to fight World War II. In fact, they had to create an enemy, Japan, and that was staged literally by the government, the United States, that has been controlled by the Jesuits forever. Before there was a White House, before there was Capitol Hill, before there was even a United States government, Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, was originally called Rome, Maryland, and the Jesuits owned all that property. In fact, the owner of that property, there's now what we call Washington, D.C., we went by the name of Pope Francis Pope. Francis Pope, literally. And there was a river that run through it that they named Tiberus. And what do we have today? Pope Francis. And if you look at what's been going on since the war started, and when did it start? It started in December or early March with, I can't remember the date exactly right now, and between Russia and Ukraine, supposedly. And you look at the dates, somehow, some way, it adds up to 666. And I can't remember how that was. I'll have to look into it again. I'm getting sidetracked. Well, I did do a video about it, but you'll have to go deep in the archives. And this is my reason why I end up getting my channels taken down, because I end up talking too much. Anyways, just get back into this. Okay. Let's get back to this. So this back still with the oath. Therefore, the utmost of my power, I will defend the doctrine and His Holiness right and custom against all usurpers and hereticals and Protestants with authority, whatever, especially Lutheran. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, we read all that. Okay. And it talks about how they will attack magistrates and officers and laws, and will have no obedience to any of the countries that they are in outside of the papacy. Because I do further declare the doctrine of the Church of England and Scotland and the Calvinists and Huguenots and others, the name Protestant or Masons, are damnable, and they themselves to be damned who will not forsake the same. I further declare that I will help, assist, and advise all and any of His Holiness agents in any place where I should be, in Switzerland, Germany, Holland, Ireland, or America, or in any other kingdom or territory I shall come to, and do my utmost to extirpate, which is another way to mean of exterminate, the heretical Protestants and Masonic doctrines, and to destroy all their pretended powers, legal or otherwise. I do further promise and declare that I declare that notwithstanding, I am dispensed with to assume any religion, heretical or for the propagation of the Mother's Church. You already said that. I am dispensed with to assume any religion, so they can pretend to be a Jew or a Muslim or a Satanist or be part of heading maybe the Bigfoot community. Or, and on it goes. And if you think I'm kidding, you just do some research. You think I'm kidding. I am dispensed with the to assume any religion heretical for the propagation of the Mother Church interests, to keep secret and private all her agents, counsels for time to time as they entrust me, and not to divulge directly or indirectly by word, writing, or circumstances, whatever, but to execute all that should be proposed, given in charge, and to discover unto me by you my ghostly father, ghostly or spiritually father, their father, call no man father. Why do they have a religion that has the priestcraft called father? Or any of this sacred order. I do further promise declare that I will have no opinions and will of my own or any mental reservation whatever, even as a corpse or cadaver. And then it has this Italian thing, this uh, Latin thing, per rende ac cadaver, but will unhesitantly obey each and every command that I may receive from my superiors in the militia of the Pope and of Jesus, that I will go to any part of the world, whithersoever I may be sent, to the frozen regions of the north, the jungles of India, to the centers of civilization of Europe, and to the wild haunts of the barbarous savages of America, without murmuring or ripening, and will be submissive in all things whatsoever is communicated to me. I further promise, declare that I will, when opportunity presents, and this is the paragraph that is even more evil than you can imagine. And you never heard this, but this is true. I do further promise and declare that I will, when opportunity presents, make and wage relentless war secretly and openly against all heretics, Protestants, and Masons, as I am directed to do, to extirpate them from the face of the whole earth, and that I will spare neither age, sex, nor condition, and that I will hang, burn, waste, boil, flay, strangle, and bury alive these infamous heretics, rip open the stomachs and wombs of their women, and crush their infants' heads against the walls in order to annihilate their extricable, I'm not saying this right, execrable, like poop, waste, execrable waste. That when the same cannot be done openly, I will secretly use the poisonous cup, the vial, the strangulation cord. How many people have you heard in Hollywood and in the entertainment field that you've heard over and over again them being strangled? And in politics, literally. Now, this might sound crazy, but if you actually do your homework or you study, you will know that this is not only the truth, it's shockingly true. Hopefully, it'll cause you to run into the arms of God. It's the steel poniard. You know, this is a small sword, kind of like a needle, or a leaden bullet. Their condition in life, either public or private, as at any time may be directed so to do by any agents of the Pope or the superior of the brotherhood of the Holy Father of the Society of Jesus. The Holy Father is a term straight from Jesus calling God Holy Father. But what they're talking about here is the Black Pope. Did you know about the Black Pope? Maybe you're looking at the Black Pope, because there's a white Pope and a Black Pope. In confirmation of which I hereby dedicate my life, soul, and all corporal powers with the dagger which I now receive, I will subscribe my name written in my blood. It sounds like what you see in witchcraft and sorcery and all that, right? In my own blood. And testimony thereof. And should I prove false or weaken in my determination, may my brother and fellow soldiers of the militia of the Pope, I thought they were priests, just trying to teach the gospel of Jesus. No, they're the militia. They're a military order of the Pope to cut off my hands and feet and throat from my ear to ear, and my belly be opened and sulfur burned therein with all the punishment that can be inflicted upon me on the earth, and my soul be tortured by demons in eternal hell forever. And if you understand what Jesus did, there's no eternal hell forever. Hell's been conquered, and either of you, if you have abiding faith in Jesus, you'll go into the light and be with Heavenly Father after this life, or there's a lake of fire, which is not the same thing as hell. Hell is where, that's where paradise and prison was at one time, until Jesus fulfilled all things. That I will, in voting, always vote from a Knight of Columbus in the presence of a Protestant, especially a Mason, and that I will leave my party so to do that if 2 Catholics are on the ticket, I will satisfy myself which is the better supporter of the Mother Church, and vote accordingly. That I will not deal with or employ a Protestant if in my power to deal with or employ a Catholic. So in other words, if I have a choice between a Catholic and a Protestant, I'm going to choose a Catholic. Whether it's workplace or whether it's in politics or wherever it may be. And you'll find out that in this country, that in the centers of power, all of it, the very top of every political agency is run primarily by Jesuit trained Roman Catholics and coadjutors who pretend not to be Catholics. Boris Johnson from England. It's interesting about Boris Johnson, he's the prime minister there. And what happened was he got remarried, and he married this woman, right, that he was cheating with, and he got caught. She was giving him a blowjob in his office when he wasn't prime minister. And she's Roman Catholic. And he was born Roman Catholic, but then he pretended not to be Roman Catholic so he could become prime minister. But now he's joined and became the Roman Catholic Church again with his adulterous wife. That she was willing to destroy her children's life and husband's life in order to have this guy. Yeah, that guy. Anyways, Boris Johnson, a lech if there ever was one, and a Roman Catholic coadjutor through and through. Biden, Roman Catholic coadjutor. Most of his cabinet is Roman Catholic, Jesuit trained coadjutors. Gee, now I'm not being bigoted, and I'm not judging Roman Catholics. I'm talking about the power structure of our reality, our world. Most Roman Catholics don't even have a clue what the hell's going on any more than anybody else does. It takes a lot of time and energy and effort to really know what this world's about. And most people will never put the time in or discipline to ever do such a thing. Okay, let's get back to this. That I will place Catholic girls in Protestant families, that a weekly report may be made in the inner movements of the heretics, and that I will provide myself with arms and ammunition, that I may be in the readiness when the word is passed, or I am commanded to defend the church, and either as an individual or with the militia of the Pope. Understand this militia of the Pope, Pontifex Maximus, Caesar, and all of which I, fill in the blank, do swear by the blessed Trinity and the blessed sacrament which I am now to receive, to perform and on part take and on part to keep this my oath and the testimony hereof. I take this most holy and blessed sacrament of the Eucharist and the witness of the same further with my name written with the point of this dagger dipped in my own blood and sealed in the face of the Holy Sacrament. And you can read the rest of it if you want, but that's the Jesuit Oath in a nutshell. Does that sound good? Does that sound something honest? Does that sound something good? Would you want to have people like that running your life, running your governments, running your churches and schools? Now you may start to understand a little more of what is behind all the madness in this world. You see, they know that 90% of the world doesn't want anything to do with Roman Catholicism, let alone the papacy. What do they need to do? Exterminate and extirpate all us heathens. RC Christian, Roman Catholic Christian. What is their mission this century? To reduce the world's population to a point that's manageable and controllable, in which they will always be and always will be subservient and slaves to the Vatican. Which, by the way, did you know the Vaticanus? Vatican means defined the diviners of the serpents. And if you looked at the image that was started the thumbnail, that is actually an image of a auditorium in which the Pope meets with people who visit the Vatican in the shape of a serpent's head. What does that? Anything that have to do with Jesus and love and peace? Nothing. That's what it has to do with it. But it has everything to do with enslavement, deception, manipulation, and you might now know and have a better understanding of why the madness is that it is. Okay, there we go. And thank you, Holly, for joining me, and Donnie. And I don't know what you're talking about your Paul, but I encourage you to seriously this time study the Bible without anybody getting in the way. Ask God a few questions in the New Testament. Who's being spoken to? Think about audience relevancy. Who's being spoken to? When did Jesus say his second coming would happen? Because he says all the way through there, from the very beginning, from Matthew 10, all the way to the very last words in the book of Revelation. And it's all written in order. And if you want to know the truth, you're going to have to walk away from your religious thinking and start following Jesus. Worrying about Paul, who was the apostle to the rest of us, who are called the Gentiles into humanity, I don't know why you would have a problem with that. In fact, honestly, what if you actually study it clearly, had a clear thinking, you would understand that Paul had nothing negative to say about Jesus, his teachings, or even when they had that little spat between him and Peter, it was resolved just like that. Why you want to be under the law? Why do you want to be under bondage? It's because you don't know Jesus yet. If you want to be under the law and under bondage, you'll know Jesus. You don't know Jesus. If you want to be free from the law and the burden of the law, you see, you and I instinctively have already had written in our heart. We already know right from wrong. We never needed the 10 Commandments, and never did we ever need any of the rest of that stuff. You and I always knew right from wrong. You knew stealing was wrong. You knew that lying was wrong. You knew that cheating on people was wrong. You knew that killing people was wrong. You knew that. And you always known that. But then you allowed religion and you allowed men and their poison to get into your mind. You knew what was right. You always knew what's right. Everyone knows what's right. Unless they are sociopaths or they have borderline personality disorder or something like that. There's something seriously wrong for them. The law is for those who are sinners. And you can't be a sinner anymore. You can still be evil, but you can't be a sinner. Jesus conquered sin. Evil still exists. Evil and sin are not the same thing. I hope you understand that. Jesus conquered the law. He freed us from the law. And I don't know why you would have any issue with Paul, except you didn't study that Bible seriously enough. You didn't bother to spend any time studying that Bible to show yourself approved. And it takes years, by the way, to study it. You think reading it once or treating it like some textbook in college, you're going to know what the heck you're talking about? And if you're not willing to challenge your own biases and the biases around you, how are you ever going to know what the truth is in those words? You see, Jesus set us free from religion, from dogma, from doctrine. You can have a personal relationship with his because of his son and what his son did for us. I hope you find out, man. Now, I'm not a religious fanatic. Far from it. I'm completely against religion. After studying the Bible and the New Testament and Jesus' words and the apostles' words and the words in the Old Testament, absolutely there's no way in heck you're appeasing God by belonging to any religion. None. You are just offered yourself up to a snare, a trap, so you can never have a personal relationship with God. I hope you realize that. I sure hope you realize that. Anyways, it is legit. You can research this over and over and over again. The Vatican is hell bent. Pontifex Maximus Caesar has been hell bent forever and a day to rule over this whole world, pretending to represent Jesus, willing to exterminate billions. Exterminating 8 billion more of us if you don't wake up.